Jai Hind, everyone. In this video, we are covering chapter 1 of class 10th geography textbook, that is resources and development. So these the geography that is, and the topics that are in the class 9th, 10th, and also class 8th are important for Indian geography, particularly when it comes to serious examination. That is why I've come up with a new series that is in this will cover all the chapters that are included in the class 10th geography. So let's get started. Therefore, the first chapter in class 10th is resources and development. Everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs, provided it is technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable, can be termed as resource. So, first of all, what is resource? A resource should satisfy our needs, okay, and that should be available environment. These are the two factors, and the rest three are it should be accessible to us. So you have some technology, and with that technology you have the access to it, and also economically feasible. It's not like you have spent 1 lakh, but in return you have got only 10,000. Then it will not be a resource. And the third point is it should be culturally acceptable. So these are the conditions to term something as resource. The process of transformation of things available in our environment involves an interactive relationship between nature, technology, and institutions. So, this transformation of things into resources involves relationship. How? Human beings interact with nature through technology and create institutions to accelerate their economic development. So, this is the relationship between humans, technology, and institutions. Sorry, nature, technology, and institutions. Human beings interact with either through technology and create institutions to accelerate their economic development. Do you think that resources are free gifts of nature as is assumed by many? No, they are not. Because only if you can have access to it, only if you know how to use it, then only it will be a resource. Otherwise, it is as just as any non living thing that is available on earth. Resources are a function of human activities. Human beings themselves are essential components of resources. So, here what is being said, human beings are the important factors that can transform these materials into resources. So, with our intelligence or knowledge, we have invented some technologies so that we can transform some materials into resources that can satisfy our needs. So, here resources are not free gifts of nature, they are function of human activities. They transform material available in our environment into resources and use them. Who? Humans. Now, the resources can be classified into the following ways. On the basis of origin, they are into biotic, abiotic. On the basis of exhaustibility, renewable and non-renewable. On the basis of ownership, we have individual, community, national, and international. And on the basis of status of development, potential, developed stock, and reserves. Now we'll go through each one of them in details. So the first one is origin, and first one on the basis of origin, that is biotic and abiotic. So biotic means something that has life. For example, what can be the biotic sources? It's like fishes, or maybe flora and fauna, livestock, etc. So these are all biotic resources. And then the abiotic resources are like metals, rocks, ores. These are all abiotic resources. And the next one is on the basis, mind telling you, on the basis of origin, this one was asked in CDS. So it is kind of important to learn all this. On the basis of exhaustibility, we have renewable and non-renewable. Renewable means which are there is reproduction of the energy. For example, we have solar energy. So solar energy is renewable because we do get the sunlight, and with that sunlight we can produce solar energy and it can be reproduced. So that is called renewable. Some of the examples of renewable resources are solar, wind, water, wildlife, etc. So these are all examples for renewable resources. And the next one is non-renewable resources. Non-renewable resources, these take so much time and also they occur over a very geological time. So for example, fossil fuels, we know that they take millions of years to form And these are the examples for non-renewable resources. And also, once on the basis of ownership. Next, the third category is on the basis of ownership. We have individual, community, national, and international. So individual, it's like our own property. So for suppose one person has a property, a land on his name, it is his individual property. Whereas community means, the examples of community are parks, public grounds, or playgrounds, picnic spots. These all come under community resources. And then we have national resources. So national resources, on them the national has legal powers to acquire and to do anything with the resources that come under national jurisdiction. And international, we have the ocean waters, that are open ocean waters that are beyond exclusive economic zone. So for example, let me explain what is exclusive economic zone. So EEZ. So this is called exclusive economic zone. So what is this exclusive economic zone? It is the area beyond the coastline of a country up to 200 nautical miles. So up till 12 nautical miles, we know that it is the territorial waters of any country. So in that we have full sovereignty over anything. We can do anything. But the difference between territorial waters and exclusive economic zone is that in exclusive economic zone, we have sovereign rights over certain things like conducting research, exploring maritime resources, and also conserving maritime resources. So we have sovereign rights in exclusive economic zone, whereas in territorial waters, we have full sovereignty. And what is the length of territorial waters? It is 12 nautical miles, whereas the economic zone has 200 nautical miles from the coastline of a country. So international resources means beyond the exclusive economic zone. It is like an open ocean, and no individual can utilize this without concurrence or without agreement of international institutions. So this is about international communities. And here we have another one. Resources, natural and human. So based on this, also based on their, like, maybe biotic and abiotic. In biotic, like abiotic, here also we have natural and human. So in natural, we have non-renewable, and under renewable, we have continuous and biological. So continuous means that can be reproduced instantly, like wind, water, solar, etc. Whereas biological, it related to biotic sources again, like natural vegetation and wildlife. And then non-renewable. So in non-renewable, we have two things, that is recyclable, like metals, whereas non-recyclable is fossil fuels. And under human made, we have structures and institutions and quantity and quality. So these are the human resources, whereas these are all the natural resources. Now the next one is development of resources. Okay, so we have another one, that is on the basis of status of development. So under that, first one is potential. Potential means it has the ability to satisfy our needs, but we are not still using it. So that is called potential. So it are found, these resources are found somewhere, but we are not still using it. We are not using them yet. So that is called potential. Whereas the developed stock means we found they have the potential to satisfy human needs, but we don't have enough technology to access them. Okay, so this is the meaning of developed stock. So in developed stock, they can satisfy our needs, but we don't have technology to access them. And the next one is reserve. Reserve, it's like a subset of stock. Reserves are subset of rocks where it can be put to use. So means we can use it with the help of existing technology, but we didn't start using them yet. So that is the difference between reserve and reserve. These are the sources, that is potential, developed stock, and reserves. The next topic is development of resources. Resources are vital for human survival as well as for maintaining the quality of life. It was believed that resources are free gifts of nature, As a result, human beings used them indiscriminately. This has led to the following major problems. So what happened? Humans believed that these are free gifts from the nature, and they started using them. They started misusing, or we can say excessive use of these has led to some problems. What are the problems? Depletion of resources for satisfying the greed of few individuals. So there was irregular consumption, like some people had consumed very much that the other people couldn't even have access to them. So that is the depletion of resources. And due to that, what happened? Depletion of resources. There was reduction in the quantity of available resources. And then accumulation of resources in few hands, which in turn divided the society into two segments, that is rich and poor. So only few individuals had got access to resources, they have become rich, and the rest has become poor. Indiscriminate exploitation of resources led to global ecological crises such as global warming, ozone layer depletion, environmental pollution, and land degradation. So, in this indiscriminate exploitation has led to problems like global warming, land degradation, ozone layer depletion, etc. For that, what are the solutions? An equitable distribution of resources has become essential for a sustained quality of life and global peace. So for sustainable life and global peace, what did we need? We need equitable. So that the resources are distributed equally to all the people, to all the individuals. If the present trend of resource depletion by a few individuals and countries continues, the future of planet is in danger. So even today, even further also, if we continue accumulation of resources in few individuals, the future of planet is in danger. Therefore, resource planning is essential for sustainable existence. So planning is very much important. And this sustainable existence is a component of sustainable development. So what is this sustainable existence? It is a component of sustainable development. But what is sustainable development? We have to look it into. What is sustainable development? It means development should take place without damaging the environment, and development in the present should not compromise with the needs of future generations. So here we have two aspects. One is talking about present, and another one is talking about future. So present, we should use them without damaging environment. That is for present. And for future, we should use it in a way, and we should develop in such a way that it should not compromise the needs of future generations. So it should not put it should not put some effects on future generations so that they need to compromise their needs. So this is about sustainable development. The next one, Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit 1992. So in June 1992, more than 100 heads of states met in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil for the first International Earth Summit. So this 1992 Rio Summit is also called Rio Summit. It is the first International Earth Summit. It was convened. Why was it put? It was put for addressing urgent problems of environmental protection and socio-economic development at the global level. So this was the first summit that has taken place at the global level. And when? June 1992 in Rio de Janeiro. The assembled leaders signed the Declaration on Global Climatic Change and Biological Diversity. So what was the declaration? Global Climatic Change and Biological Diversity. The Rio Convention endorsed the Global Forest Principles and adopted Agenda 21. So, Agenda 21 was adopted for achieving sustainable development in 21st century. So, from 2000 to 2100, they have adopted Agenda 21. What is this Agenda 21? It is the declaration signed by world leaders in 1992 at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. So, this Rio Summit is also called as United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. What is it aims? What are the aims included in the Agenda 21? It aims at global sustainable development. It is an agenda to combat environmental damage, poverty, disease through global cooperation on common interests, mutual needs, and shared responsibility. So it is more like promoting cooperation among the countries to combat certain social disorders like poverty, environmental damage, and also diseases. And another major objective is that every local government should draw its own local agenda. So every local government means here the countries. So the countries should draw their own local agenda. So this is about Agenda 21 and Rio Summit. It is said that resource planning is essential for sustainable existence. Now we'll look into the details of resource planning and how it should be done. Planning is the widely accepted strategy for judicious use of resources. It has importance in a country like India, which has enormous diversity in the availability of resources. There are regions which are rich in certain types of resources but are deficient in some other resources. So what happened? Although India had different resources, different diversity of resources, there is unequal distribution. So some areas are rich in certain resources while others are deficient in the same resources. It's like there are some regions which can be considered self-sufficient in the terms of availability of resources, and there are some which have acute shortage. For example, states of Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh are rich in minerals and coal deposits. So these states, JCM. So JCM are rich in minerals and coal deposits, whereas Arunachal Pradesh has abundance of water resources but lacks in infrastructural development. So what happened? Arunachal, although it has abundant water resources, it lacks in infrastructural development. Next, the state of Rajasthan is very well endowed with solar and wind energy but lacks in water resources. See, Arunachal has more water but Rajasthan doesn't have. And Arunachal doesn't have infrastructure but Rajasthan is endowed with solar and wind energy. The cold desert of Ladakh is relatively isolated from the rest of the country. It has very rich cultural heritage, but it is deficient in water, infrastructure, and some vital minerals. This calls for balanced resource planning at the national, state, regional, and local level. So this is the basic reason is an unequal distribution, an irregular distribution of resources is the reason why we should come up with balanced resource planning. Resource planning is a complex process which involves identification and inventory of resources across the regions of the country. So what is the first step? Identifying and inventory of resources across the country. And how does it can be accomplished? It can be accomplished by surveying, mapping, estimation, and also measurement of resources. Next, after the surveying, we should evolve a planning structure. So we should come up with a plan that includes appropriate technology, skill, and institutional setup. So this is the second plan for implementing development plans. And the next one is matching the resource development plans with overall national development plans. So the plans we are making for resource development should be aligned with national development plans. This is how the resource planning should be done. India has made concerted efforts for achieving the goals of resource planning right from the first 5-year plan launched after independence. The availability of resources is a necessary condition for the development of any region. So, even if you have enough technology or required technology, if you don't have resources, the technology is of no use to you. So, availability of resources is also important. But mere availability of resources in the absence of corresponding changes in technology and institutions may hinder developments. There are many regions in our country that are rich in resources, but these are included in economically backward regions. So sometimes what happens, even though you have resources, if you don't have enough required technology to access them, the resources are of no use. For example, we take Argentina. Argentina has so much resources for critical minerals, but it doesn't have technology to access them. So this is how the resource planning is dependent on both technology and also availability of resources. On the contrary, there are some regions which have a poor resource base, but they are economically developed. Next. The history of colonization reveals that rich resources in colonies were the main attractions for the foreign invaders. So, the regions which are rich in resources were the main attractions for the colonization colonials. It was primarily the higher level of technological development of the colonizing countries that helped them to exploit resources of other regions. So what happened? The countries which had good technology, they tried to exploit the resources of another country. So Africa is abundant with the minerals and everything, and the Europeans had technology to access them. So what happened in the previous centuries? Africa has been uh, deteriorated due to this exploitation by the Europeans. And the colonizing countries, they established their supremacy over the colonies. Therefore, resources can contribute to development only when they are accompanied by appropriate technological development and institutional changes. India has experienced all this in different phases of colonization, and therefore, in India, development in general and resource development in particular doesn't only involve the availability of resources, but also the technology, quality of human resources, and the historical experiences of the people. Conservation of resources. Resources are vital for any developmental activity, but irrational consumption and overutilization of resources may lead to socio-economic and environmental problems, and we know that. To overcome these problems, resource conservation at various levels is important. This had been the main concern of the leaders and thinkers in the past. For example, Gandhiji was very apt in voicing his concern about resource conservation in these words: there is enough for everybody's need and not for anybody's greed. So, what did Mahatma Gandhi say? He said, there is everything for everybody's need, but not for anybody's greed. So, this is the famous line given by Mahatma Gandhi. He placed the greedy and selfish individuals and exploitative nature of modern technology as the root cause for resource development depletion at the global level. So, what were the causes of depletion at global level? Greediness and selfishness of individuals and exploitative nature of modern technology. And he was against mass production and wanted to replace it with production by the masses. So, he wanted only production taken by the people, like handmade production, but not mass production. At the international level, the Club of Rome advocated resource conservation for the first time in a more systematic way in 1968. So this resource conservation was like, if you have to say officially, in 1968 by the Club of Rome. Subsequently, in 1974, Gandhian philosophy was once again presented by Schumacher in his book Small is Beautiful. So, by this Schumacher, I think if the pronunciation is correct, Schumacher in his book Small is Beautiful, he has talked about Gandhian philosophy in 1974. The seminal contribution with respect to resource conservation at the global level was made by Brundtland Commission Report 1987. So, although several things were being taken place, like 1968 Club of Rome, 1974 Small is Beautiful book, 1987 Brundtland Commission Report. So, there was some report called Brundtland Commission Report, and it was for the first time it introduced the concept of sustainable development. So, in 1987, sustainable development was introduced at the global level. Next, and advocated it as a means for resource conservation, which was subsequently published in a book entitled Our Common Future. So, after introducing that, it was also included in the book called Our Common Future. And after this, the next significant summit was 1992 Rio Summit. But when was sustainable development first introduced? 1987 Brundtland Commission report. Land resources. We live on land, we perform our economic activities on land, and we use it in different ways. Thus, land is a natural resource of utmost importance. It supports natural vegetation, wildlife, human life, economic activities, transport and communication systems. However, land is an asset of a finite magnitude. So it has it's not like it's renewable. It has some limitations. So land is an asset of finite magnitude. Therefore, it is important to use the available land for various purposes with careful planning. As it is limited, we should use it carefully for our various purposes. Now, let's see the distribution of land in India. So, in India, land under plains is 43%. So, the plains constitute the land of India. by 43%. And then we have mountains 30%. And then we have plateaus 27%. PMP, P plumper. So plumper, PL for plains, mountains, and plateaus. Plains 43%, mountains 30%, and then we have plateaus 27%. This is the distribution of land in India. Yeah, here it is covered. So I am skipping this paragraph. The next one is land utilization. Land resources are used for the following purposes. So what do we use land for? First thing, under forest we have our land, so which is not available for any purpose, like for cultivation. And then the next one is land not available for cultivation. So first one is forest. The second one is land not available for cultivation. In that we have two, that is barren and wasteland. So we do see some lands which are barren, which are left unutilized. So that is called barren and wasteland. And the next one is land put to non-agricultural uses like buildings, factories or houses, roads, etc. These also come under land not available for cultivation. And then we have other uncultivated land. So apart from the land that is included in second point, other than that. So what is that? That is permanent pasture. So in this, we have excluded fallow lands. So we'll see what are fallow lands in the next point. But under this, we have permanent pastures and grazing land. So other uncultivated land is permanent pastures and grazing land. Land under miscellaneous tree crops and groves. So we see trees in our neighborhood and in our vicinity. So that is also, that land is covered in another cultivated land. And also culturable wasteland. So here the spelling is wrong. CULTUR. Culturable wasteland means the land which is left uncultivated for more than 5 agricultural years. So it's like for more than 5 agricultural years, you haven't sown anything, you haven't harvested anything, it was left uncultivated. So that is called culturable wasteland. This is the third point. So 3 are included, that is permanent pastures and grazing land, and miscellaneous tree crop groves, and culturable wasteland, which means it has been uncultivated for more than 5 agricultural years. The next one, fallow lands. Under fallow lands, we have two, that is current fallow and other than current fallow. Current fallow means it was left uncultivated for 1 or less than 1 agricultural year. Okay, so it's like the fallow land has been uncropped to replenish so that the soil regains its fertility. So that's why it was left uncultivated for 1 or more less than 1 year. It is called current fallow. If it is uncultivated for in between 1 and 5 agricultural years, it is called other than current fallow. But if it is left uncultivated for more than 5 years, then it is called culturable wasteland. So these are the 3 types of land. That is, first one, current fallow, 1 or less than 1. Next one, other than current fallow, 1 to 5, culturable, more than 5. The next one is net sown area. So net sown area means the current crops, the current land on which the crops are sown, harvested is known as net sown area. So at this point, if you try to calculate the land on which the crops are sown, that is called net sown area. But in a year, in an agricultural year, current sown area and also previously, if the crops are sown on that land, that will also be added to get gross cropped area. So that is called gross cropped area. Area sown more than once in an agricultural year plus net sown area is known as gross cropped area. So these are the land utilization and for different purposes. The next one is land use pattern in India. The use of land is determined by physical factors such as topography, soil types, as well as human factors such as population density, technological capability, and culture and tradition. So these are the factors that determine land use pattern. So if you see here, this is from 1960 to 61. Here we have 2014, 2015. Here this one, forests 18.11%, whereas it has been increased. which is a good point, and also this one net zone area 45.26 to 45.5. So the basically gives the differences between land use pattern with a period of at least 50 years. So this is how the change in land pattern has taken place. Total geographical area of India is 3.28 million square kilometers. So this is the geographical area. However, land use data, however, is available only for 93% of the total geographical area, because the land use reporting for most of the northeast states except Assam hasn't been done fully. Okay, so out of the geographical area, the land use pattern was estimated only for 93%. The land under permanent pasture has also decreased. However, how are we able to feed our huge cattle population on this pasture land, and what are the consequences of it? So what happened? This pasture lands has the land under pastures has been decreased, but how are we feeding cattle? So will that put pressure on the available land? We have to see. Most of the other than current fallow lands are either of poor quality, or the cost of cultivation of such land is very high. Hence, these lands are cultivated once or twice in about 2 to 3 years, and these are included in the net zone area. Then the percentage of net zone area in India comes to 54% of total reporting area. So other than current fallow lands which have been uncultivated between 1 and 5 years, and these are sown, these are which are not used because either of poor quality, but and also the cost of cost of the crop will be high. So these are sown only once or twice in about 2 to 3 years. And if they are included, the percentage of net zone area in India will come up to 54%. The pattern of net zone area varies greatly from one state to another. It is over 80% of the total area in Punjab and Haryana, and less than 10% in northeastern states and Andaman Nicobar Islands. So 80% is the net zone area in Punjab and Haryana. See how much is the cropping has been taken place in Punjab and Haryana. Forest area in the country is far lower than the desired 33% of geographical area. So according to National Forest Policy of 1952, 33% was the desired percentage for forest, but currently it is less than that. See, it is only 23.3%. It was considered essential for maintenance of ecological balance. The livelihood of millions of people who live on the fringes of these forests depends on it. A part of the land is termed as wasteland and land put to other non-agricultural uses. Wasteland includes rocky, arid, desert areas, and land put to other non-agricultural uses includes settlements, roads, railways, industries, etc. Continuous use of land over a long period of time without taking appropriate measures to conserve and manage has resulted in land degradation. So these are all the factors that have resulted in land degradation. Next one, land degradation and conservation measures. We have shared our land with the past generations and will have to do so with the future generations too. 95% of our basic needs for food, shelter, clothing are obtained from land. Human activities have not only brought about degradation of land but have also aggravated the pace of natural resources forces to cause damage to land. So what did we do? We not only degraded the land but also we have aggravated or increased the pace of natural resources or natural forces to cause damage to land. So how? Like some human activities such as deforestation, overgrazing, mining, and quarrying too have contributed significantly. Mining sites are abandoned after excavation work is complete, leaving deep scars and traces of overburdening. So, in states like these, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, deforestation is due to what? Mining. So, because of mining in these states, it caused land degradation. Whereas in states like Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, overgrazing is the reason for land degradation. So these are the reasons given for certain states that caused land degradation. And next one is Punjab, Haryana, and Western UP. What was the reason? Over irrigation. So over irrigation is responsible for land degradation due to water logging leading to increase in salinity and alkalinity. So please remember the reasons for some of the states that are resulted in land degradation. These are already asked in CDS PYQs. The mineral processing like grinding of limestone for cement industry and calcite and soapstone for ceramic industry generate huge quantity of dust in the atmosphere. It retards the process of infiltration of water into the soil after it settles down on the land. In recent years, industrial effluents as waste have become a major source of land and water pollution. So the industrial waste and also the thing mineral waste like this ceramic industries, it also become major cause of water and air pollution. There are many ways to solve the problems of land degradation. So till now we have read the causes of land degradation. Now what are the measures should be taken to combat it? First one, afforestation. Of course, afforestation and proper management of grazing can help to some extent. Next, planting of shelter belts of plants, control on overgrazing, stabilization of sand dunes by growing thorny bushes are some of the methods to check land degradation in arid areas. Next, proper management of wastelands, controlling of mining activities, proper discharge and disposal of industrial effluents and wastes after treatment can reduce land and water degradation in industrial suburban areas. So, for arid areas, what are the shelter belts? Planting shelter belts, control on overgrazing, growing thorny bushes, which is very much important. And also for industrial effluents, what is the basic thing to be done? Proper sewage treatment, and also proper discharge and disposal, proper management of wasteland. So these are the measures that should be taken to combat land degradation. So with this, we'll conclude this video. In the later video, we'll cover soil and the types of soil, and we'll finish the chapter. So until then, thank you and Jai Hind.